This segment introduces the effective interest method of amortizing a discount or premium. The effective interest method is a different way of amortizing a discount or premium other than the straight line method. What the effective interest method does is it allocates total bond interest expense over a changing carrying value. It ends up yielding a constant rate of interest over the life of the bond that is equal to the market rate at the time of issuance. The interest expense that is recorded with every interest payment is calculated first, and it is calculated by taking the carrying value of the bonds at the date of the interest payment times the market rate at the time of issuance times the period of time the interest payment is for. For example, assume that these bonds are 1 million par value bonds, semi-annual interest payments twice a year. The bonds have a 2-year life. The semi-annual contract rate, so this rate is already half of a year's interest because this is a semi-annual rate. So it would have been an 8% interest per year stated for the bonds. The effective rate, or the rate at the time of these bonds issuing, is 10%. Half of it is 5%, or the semi-annual market rate. To calculate the first interest payment on these bonds are issued at a discount. They are issued for $96,454, meaning they have a discount of $3,546. To calculate the amount of interest expense and the amount of discount amortization on that first interest payment, we would take the current carrying value of the bonds when the interest payment is being made. On June 30th, the first interest payment is made when the carrying value of the bonds are $96,454. $96,454 times 5%, which is half of the market rate. The interest expense recorded will be $4,823. Once we know the interest expense to record, we then calculate the amount of cash paid. The cash paid will be the face value or par value of the bonds, which is $100,000, times half of the contracted rate. The total contract or stated rate is 8%. Half of a year would be 4%. So the cash paid to bondholders will be $4,000. Interest recorded is $4,823. The cash paid to the bondholders is $4,000. The difference between the interest expense that we calculate to record and the cash paid to bondholders of $823 will be the amount of the discount amortization. The discount is amortized $823, bringing the unamortized discount down to $2,723, causing the carrying value, the difference between the par and the unamortized discount. The carrying value is now $97,277. 6 months later, when the next interest payment is made, the first thing to calculate is how much interest expense to record. We do that by taking the carrying value times half of the market rate, which was 5%. Carrying value times 5% gives us interest expense of $4,864. The cash actually paid to bondholders will still be $4,000. It never changes. The difference between the interest expense to record and the cash paid will be the amount of the discount amortization, causing the discount to go down and the carrying value to increase. The third interest payment, interest expense, will be calculated by taking the current carrying value times half of the market rate. Interest expense to record, $4,907. Cash paid to bondholders will remain at $4,000. The difference between the interest expense and the cash paid, $907. Bringing the discount amortization down to $952. The final interest payment at the end of the second year of these bonds' life. Interest expense to record is the current carrying value of $99,048 times half of the market rate, $4,952 of interest to record. Cash actually paid to the bondholders, still only $4,000 based on the contracted interest rate. Discount amortization of $952, bringing the discount unamortized down to $0, and the carrying value of the bonds up to $100,000. The discount has been amortized and spread out over those 4 interest payments.